Hi, how you doing? Today's video is a request from a follower of mine. We are going to look at the Charlie Kirk memorial service that is actually happening on the day of the solar eclipse. And this chart's already a doozy. I'm going to be doing another video about what these transits can mean away from the whole Charlie Kirk thing. But that's what we're going to look at today. Now, this is entirely based on if the time does not change. Right now, it is scheduled to start at 11 a.m. So that's the chart I'm going by. So with that, we have a Scorpio ascendant, and it's ruled by the 11th house Mars in Libra and the second house Pluto in Aquarius, both of which square each other. Now, Scorpio is ruling the 12th house too, and this reflects the moment being about the death of someone and the hidden secrets revolving around it. Now, Mars square Pluto represents social tensions and how they will be used to affect social values. Conflict is very likely under this transit. Mars is also squaring Jupiter, and Jupiter and Pluto very loosely oppose each other. So we have a T square with them, with Mars at the apex. Mars is at 29 degrees Libra, which is a critical degree involving law and social rules. And Mars is the apex of a yod as well, between Saturn conjunct Neptune and Uranus, as is the Mars ruler Venus, with Pluto and Saturn conjunct Neptune. And Saturn conjunct Neptune is also the apex of a yod. We got three yods here, and the legs of its yod are the apex of the other two, Mars and Venus. So yods always represent critical moments where things can go one way or the other. And the answer is usually found at the opposition of that apex. So let's look at the Mars and Venus yods first, as the critical decisions that happen with them will affect the Saturn conjunct Neptune yod, since they're the legs of it. So we have Mars here representing the action society will be taking in regards to law as of this moment. Some sort of altercation is extremely likely due to the T square we mentioned with Pluto and Jupiter, which is on the second and eighth house axis, meaning this conflict is about values, the major change everyone is looking for, and the very emotional reactions they have to people that have opposing views to them. Saturn conjunct Neptune, sextiling Uranus, being the legs of this yod, make the critical decision of the disinformation to maintain status quo, needing change quickly. People are tired of the extreme political divide in our country and wish to change how we communicate. Perhaps either legislation will be proposed or an action that will lead to legislation will occur at this event. The opposition, being in the intercepted 6th house Taurus, connects this answer to the Virgo stellium as well as Venus and Virgo. And before I talk about Venus, I just want to say we're already seeing the seeds of this crop up. We're already seeing certain people pushing this narrative of, oh, it was the left, contrary to all evidence, versus other people saying we have got to stop this constant demonizing of other people, or we're just going to keep on bringing out more violence. And that is not the direction we want to go down. Contrary to what people want us to believe, we're not quite as close to civil war as they want us to. They're just advertising civil war. That's how it was described by Heather Cox Richardson on this podcast she does every Saturday. But anyways, back to this. The Venus yod deals with our philosophy on values needing to be worked on, and listed out a project that needs to be tackled with very meticulous detail. And with Pluto sextiling Saturn conjunct Neptune as the legs here, this reflects the status quo becoming transformed completely. Our values need to be about society and not about our image or money. Lies are falling in on themselves, and people seek action to change it. And so I think here we can see this being reflected in how everybody immediately, before a suspect was even determined about this, what happened to Charlie, before there was even a suspect, there was already people that had blamed an entire chunk of our nation and attacking them and blaming them when there wasn't even a suspect, before motives were even known. And now that has transformed into how we're seeing all these attacks. And oh, well, you disagreed with what I had to say about this, and now I want to seek you being fired, which is very interesting, coming from the people that were not that long ago both mocking the attacks and deaths of people that weren't on their side, as well as being all about free speech and against cancel culture. And now they're doing a massive push on cancel culture over free speech. But I digress. That kind of leads into Saturn conjunct Neptune, as the apex of a yod is addressing our home, America itself, and asking if, depending on how the Mars and Venus yods resolve, what will happen to us. Will we see sudden violent action be taken that can be used to further this division, or will we finally see our laws have serious discussion about how rhetoric affects us as a nation? The opposition to this is our solar eclipse stellium, with Sun, Moon, and Mercury all conjunct. And Sun is at the critical 29 degrees of Virgo in the 10th house, meaning this is a very public event, a very public message, and it is being extremely important as it addresses things that the public has deeply feared. That's solar eclipses, things that we deeply fear coming to the forefront. Let's see here. And emotions are going to be running extremely high, overpowering all else as the moon temporarily blocks the sun. This moment has an extreme chance of greatly healing our nation, a very wonderful opportunity. With Sun and Moon being ruled by Mercury, and it is in turn being ruled by Venus. It truly seems as if Venus may very well win in the end. We will choose our values and love in the end. And this stellium also forms a grand air trine with Uranus and Pluto, meaning societal change and transformation will be a certainty. I didn't expect Kirk's demise at the hands of an even more far right extremist to be what caused this country to really focus on just how far we've all allowed this animosity to go. But having happened right after Uranus joined the other outer planets and going retrograde, it seems to be the catalyst for how our country will reflect on itself and finally begin changing for the better. I'd say Uranus nailed the sudden change in communication that we were discussing a few videos ago. This whole turn of events was not on my bingo card, but I'm sure there are other people that saw it coming. This was the last way I expected Uranus retrograde to go. But this chart really does have a sense of destiny to it. We aren't out of the woods yet, and there's still plenty of work to be done, but it is my hope that this eclipse represents the end of the chapter of division, and we can finally anticipate the very much needed societal and communication changes. I just hope that it is through meaningful legislation being announced and the revealing of the true motives behind his death, and not because of the violent confrontations that have a very high chance of occurring that day. Wouldn't it be so beautiful if this nation finally had a serious discussion about mental health, the need to have access to mental health and affordable health care, and gun reform, and not necessarily taking guns away, but making it much more difficult for people to obtain them so we can lessen the chance of these tragedies happening. I really think that this entire Kirk story, this Uranus retrograde, the retrogrades of all these planets, and this eclipse, all of it, I really think at the end of the day, all of this is going to lead to the nation finally sitting down and saying, hey, we need to change, or else we're just going to keep on killing each other. And so I actually have some optimism for this, and I would like to talk about it a little bit more, but that's all the time I got for now. So tell me what you thought. Love you guys.